Hello and welcome to AMBL Insider live from our home studios. GU here alongside.
Hey, what's up, guys?
And Ryan Miller is back, not showing off his hair today. Oh, sorry. I don't know if you got what I said or not. Did you say hi, Ryan?
I was interrupting you, so I don't know what you said.
Oh, I said that you're not showing off your hair today.
No. It's extremely long, so I have to wear the hat. I can almost tie it.
What's that? I didn't catch that.
I can almost tie it in a pony.
Oh my God, I gotta see this. Can you show us?
No, it's all.
All right, well, someone who is showing off the bangs, Brendan Lee. What's up, man?
What's up, guys?
Nice background, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah, that is the dream, that we will one day be recording from the Applied Gym.
Oh, yeah. That'll be the day.
Yep. And I believe making his first appearance on this version of Insider, we've got Josh Trejo.
Hey guys, how's it going?
What's up, Josh? Good to have you.
Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
You got it, man. All right. So this, if you guys did not know, is the AMBL WIRE crew. These are the gentlemen who have been writing those awesome or mediocre or really annoying, depending on your perspective, articles about our fake AMBL season that we have not had. So big round of applause to you guys. Thank you very, very much for producing that content. G, why don't you talk us through like the origin of this idea, how it came about, how we got these five guys together to do this?
Sure. I'm sure I speak for everyone how disappointed we were that we were not able to continue with our AMBL season due to the coronavirus. So, and a lot of people invested a lot early stage of the season with their, the fees and pre-season games and draft. So I didn't want the season to go in a complete loss. So I was thinking, how can we keep this up in anticipation, in hopes that we may be able to return? And if not, what can we have for this season? So I was just thinking, why not take in a creative way and see if we can create something where team members will be able to experience, obviously not physically, but creatively with the help of the simulation, and at least come up with the story that would kind of engage the audience and experience the season as a whole. So thankfully, we had great writers such as yourself that was able to invest your time in. So to your point, we have some great stories. We have some ridiculous stories. We have some very funny stories, but overall, I think we accomplished the goal of just having team members keep in touch, especially during this difficult time, through writing, through story. So I'm just happy that we're able to kind of share this experience with everyone.
Yeah, no, it was a great idea, Jay. Like, I was very excited when you brought it up, and I was like, yeah, that'd be great. Like, let's have some fun. Let's give the people, all other AMBL team members, something to look forward to or be engaged with us, like over the course of these few weeks where we don't get to see each other and hang out, which is really the best part of being in this league. So Ryan, what were your initial thoughts when G came out with this idea?
I was pretty excited. I'm always more than happy to help and write articles week to week when we have the regular newsletter. So I thought it was a pretty cool idea, and I thought it would be fun that we could just kind of make things up as we go. I was hesitant whether we'd be able to come up with enough content every week and not sound repetitive, but I was very surprised with writing these articles. I thought we've done a great job. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What about you, Josh? You've been obviously writing for the newsletter for many seasons now. Like, this was probably like a unique experience for you.
Oh, it's like no other, really. I kind of echo what Ryan was saying. Is like, I didn't know if we were going to have enough content for, the entire season. And really, there were a couple times where I had an article. I'm like, I have no clue what I'm going to write about. Like, it's just not coming through. And then you write a paragraph, and then you write another line, and then all of a sudden you're like, wait, this happened? Okay, cool. Let's just run with it. I mean, there's no other way to do it, so let's just run with it.
Yeah, how about you, Brendan? You're probably one of the newest writers we have on the newsletter staff. This is a big project to undertake so early in your writing career. How was it for you?
Well, first of all, I'm not surprised at all that G came up with something like this. Thinks his great creative mind. And yeah, like all of you, I was really excited. It's always fun writing stuff for the newsletter. And yeah, I also echoed your guys' concerns about how much content we could come up with every week. But yeah, that's why the simulation comes in. That's where the simulation comes in and stuff.
It did come in very handy. I think 2 or 3 weeks.
Yes, it did. It
We're
did.
able to utilize the simulation and
Yeah.
get some content out there.
Look at Brendan. What a pro. What an amazing organic transition that was. So let's get into this simulation thing. Brendan, why don't you tell us like where you found it, how you created it, how you tweaked it? Like, were you just in the lab just working on this for a long time? Like, how did that come together?
Oh boy, I'm opening up myself up to a firestorm of criticism by feeling that I made a simulation and everybody's gonna come after me. But yeah, before this, I had already put together the AMBL Fantasy League since I'm a nut for sports statistics and stuff. And so once the league got shut down, I had to find something else to plug that void in my heart. And then these Wire articles are the perfect medium to use the simulation. So yeah, the first thing that came to mind was 2K, but I didn't own any form of it, so I decided to look around and shout out to Scott Nakatsu, my teammate. He put me on to Basketball GM, which is a website that does pretty much what the simulation part of 2K does. So it allows you to create your league, set teams, create players individually, and input different stats for offense, defense, shooting, and whatnot. So I tried to model everybody's stats based on what I've seen from them in real life. And since there's like 96 people in the league playing, like, I'm sorry if I got some of your stats wrong and you guys are underperforming or compared to what you thought, but especially to you rookies who I haven't seen a lot of yet, but did my best, and I'm always open if you care enough to make some stat changes for your individual player. Yeah, it was a really good platform. And the nice thing is that it distills all the settings into like a 500-page Word document page code. And that allows you to customize different aspects of it, such as like whether you want to allow injuries or the length of the games or season length, a bunch of different factors. Yeah, and the scale I used for all the scoring was I took the best person in the league at whatever statistic that I was looking at as 100. So like Ehran, you were 100 for 3-point shooting. Marcelo was 100 for rebounding, and Pat was 100 for like everything else.
Everything else.
Something like that. Hilarious. And it worked out nicely initially, but the problem is that the engine is optimized for NBA style play. So I had to make some tweaks that I couldn't make in the code to get the scores and stats down to something that was more like AMBL level. So stuff like scaling the defensive scores higher, scaling the offensive lower, reducing the game time and stuff. And it worked out pretty nicely, with probably the exception of turnovers being too high and steals being too high. Like during one of my simulations, Luis Renteria, sorry about this, had like 19 turnovers in a game.
Are we surprised or not surprised?
19,
yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's a rough game. That's a rough game, Luis.
I think you also had 19 steals the same game, right?
You probably did.
Not me. Yeah, wow. And yeah, yes. And it's just I know it's really nerdy, but it's been a really fun quarantine activity. Like, what else are you gonna do at home?
I mean, that sounds like a lot of. How long did it take to like go through and create like every single player profile in the database?
Way more time than I'd like to admit, honestly. Even with like scaling it down to 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100 instead of going granular.
Mhm.
Oh,
Oh, whoa.
Oh, we have
Whoa, that is
we
freaky.
have your assistant.
The random pop in, ANA.
you just phased in and out of existence.
Oh man, the simulation is real.
What would have been funny if Nick Johnson actually appeared behind Brandon, because we know how passionate Nick is about the results from the simulation.
That's right.
Oh yeah, I've gotten flack from a few team members,
Oh yeah,
and Nick Johnson was certainly one of those people.
it was.
Yeah, so how do you guys feel about the way Brendan's simulation portrayed your real life stats? Josh, do you think it was a fair and accurate representation of your game?
As much as I'd hate to admit it, yeah. And the reason why is that I at least personally, I've been taking a lot of satisfaction in getting my rebounds up in the last couple seasons, and the simulation definitely didn't take that into account. And I'm like, well, that kind of sucks, but I'm like, my back hurts. I'm getting older. There's another kid on the way. That's probably accurate. So yeah, it's humbling, and I think it was accurate enough.
What about you, Ryan?
Good to hear. That correction's always welcome.
Yeah, I thought Brendan, I thought you did a really good job with all of it. I bragged to a lot of my friends in college. I always give them updates, like when my team's doing well, or if I have a good game, I'll tell my friends, hey, look what I did last night in our game. Or so it was kind of fun telling them that our season was canceled, but someone in the league created a virtual league. So I have stats every week, and they get a kick out of it. So I think it's been pretty awesome. And I think that's accurate. So
G, you're always looking to get those assists. Do you think Brendan's simulation credited you with enough assists?
Oh yeah, he did it very well, and he was also accommodating as well. In the beginning, Red Liners were getting beat by everybody by 20, 30 points. So
dude, there's some simulations where you guys went 0.
Yeah.
I don't know why it hates you guys.
So I contacted Brandon on the side, hey, like, can we make some adjustments to make this a bit more competitive? And then he was able to make those minor adjustments. And I think since then, our team has been losing by 10 instead of 30. So yeah, he was pretty accommodating. In terms of my stats, I thought Brandon he did a really good job. Yeah.
Yeah. Is there anything that any of you guys wanted to know about Brendan's simulation that you have a chance to ask him right now?
I have no questions, but I thought it was funny. A few weeks ago, you sent out stats with Ehran's team, and he was DMP. So I hired mid-season.
Yeah, that's an option to turn on and off injuries and missing games for various reasons. There's even a death option in this thing, which is kind of dark.
What?
So I turned that off for sure.
Okay.
Like a 0.001% chance that will happen during the season.
That's brutal.
I turned that off.
Wow.
See, they're not messing around. Jeez, they're taking everything into account. That's pretty crazy. Oh man.
Like computer simulated trades in there or something?
Yeah, you can turn those on too.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. Be interesting to see what a super team would look like too, or something. You can change whatever you want.
Yeah, so thank you so much for that, Brendan, and it was fun following along, and like we said earlier, it really bailed us out in a couple of those weeks where we couldn't get to the articles. At least we were able to provide the simulated game. So thanks so much for putting the time and effort into doing that for us.
Yeah, it was fun.
Mm-hmm. Even though we had the simulation, I think the official standings and stats and recaps are the ones that we actually wrote about, and those are the standings that you guys see in like the newsletter or the emails or whatever. And I think I see a conspiracy here, because out of the 5 of us, 4 of your teams made the playoffs and somehow mine didn't. So I don't know what happened there, guys.
Hey, you eliminated your own team, okay? You wrote about that was you.
I only wrote about us
to
twice.
lose your last game.
Oh, whoa. We don't need to be spilling all the secrets now, bro. Let's take it easy. But I'm interested to to hear kind of like what was each of your. We'll start with you, Ryan. Like, what was your approach to like doing each article? Like, you got the assignment. I got to do this game. Like, what was going through your mind? How did you approach it? What were you trying to do in each time you wrote?
I put it off as far as I could until I would get text and messages from G asking where the hell the article was. Once it got to that point, I'm like, okay, I better start writing. And then I would just write. I'd take the 8 people on each team and put that on one side of my screen, and then try to just think of, how the game would go out in my head. So I'd start with that, and then just try to make it, as quirky or different as possible, coming up with different scenarios that we usually don't see in the league. Like I did one a couple weeks ago where someone got a technical foul for their 5th foul, but the refs didn't eject them, for 5 fouls. So I thought that was interesting. Just trying to make things that, we never ever get to write about, because we can kind of just make it up. So
yeah. Are you eating lunch or something? What's with the fork?
I'll tell you, but it's still hot over there. So.
Oh man! All right, Josh, what was your method to the madness here, writing these articles?
So I try to focus more on things I know about people, quirks, and things like that. Actually, the first article I wrote was the Rattlers Clippers one, and I'm good friends with Alberto and all those things. I'm like, he always clotheslines me during the game, so might as well just have him just be like during the game and have the refs not call it. And it turned into, well, more people, both sides of the team, the Clippers and the Raptors have a lot of hustle players. So I just kind of made this is like just jungle ball pretty much out there. So I try to go towards that, like try to get some people, the Ramadan Maki type of thing, and that usually lent itself to create something. So there were a week or two where I couldn't find something, and that's when I feel like I shifted more towards, hey, let's think of some strategies that people would employ, like different zones or different like strategies in order to win, and just things like that. So it was very people centric. I had no idea what the final score was until I wrote the final line. So it just kind of flowed that way.
Yeah, so that's interesting to hear about. I feel like a lot of the times when I was writing, I kind of had like the result or the score in mind, and then kind of worked backwards from there to see how we got to that end point. And then also taking a little bit from Ryan is try to come up with as many like weird or out of the ordinary scenarios as possible to get there, like whether it's technical fouls or people getting ejected or just like random crazy things that happen, like backcourt violations and shot clock. Even if we don't have a shot clock, I think somehow there was a shot clock violation in there, but that's okay. We don't need to pay attention to any of that. But yeah, what about you, G? You had some of the more creative articles, shall we say. So I really want to hear about what your process was.
Well, first of all, when I assigned the articles, I tried to make it as not as biased as possible, because in the beginning, first couple of weeks, the writers that had their time, they were actually, writing for their team. So it's hard to not make their team win. So I kind of noticed that pattern. So I kind of assigned it so that you're not writing about your own team. So I think that helped out a little bit. But in terms of my approach was similar to Josh. I try to look at the personality of the team and try to amplify that over the storyline. And I kind of go with the flow in terms of try to make it more conversational rather than you writing a newsletter article. I kind of want you to be experiencing at that moment. Perhaps you could place yourself in there in the middle of the conversation. For example, I think your conversation with Pat has been hilarious.
You're saying that like it happened, but you're the one who made it up.
Well, I believe it. But that's exactly my point. Like we want people to feel like they're part of the conversation. Yeah, kind of try to provide different experience compared to the standard articles, standard writing. Try to creative approach has been my approach.
Yeah, I like seeing the different styles, like seeing some with the quotes in there and seeing others that are more like analytical, almost like game recap type stuff, like in the newsletter. It was a nice mix. There was different changes of pace. Brendan, we already talked about your simulations, but how did that translate into writing for you?
In a lot of ways it helped. I found it was easier to make a story from the game because that was my main goal, to just make a story out of the article instead of having it just be like a straight recap. It made it easy to create a story around the stats, such as like you can assign a run to a team for different point totals in a half or something like that. And for me, it also helped rein in the desire to make every game a buzzer beater kind of thing, which obviously isn't a realistic thing. Other than that, just took in elements based on what I know of different players in real life and incorporated that into it. Like elements from last week's games that for the teams that you guys may have written the previous week, stuff like that.
Yeah.
That I appreciate about you guys is that you guys actually try to link the story from the previous weeks or the prior incident and try to make those into more current. So, yeah, I thought that was really nice touch from all of you guys.
Yeah, I really like that too, especially when it was like between writers. Like someone would write one game, like I think Josh, you came up with the Thunder Jackets or whatever, and then everyone else continued that like the rest of the season. Like that was really cool to see.
Yeah, and that was actually I can't remember who wrote that, but it was the game where August and
Brian
Kyle they got bit, stung by wasps, and then August she helped write the whole thing by emailing all of us and said, I think we would have played through them. So that naturally the Thunder Jackets were born because August like we would have played through them. So what if it worked to their benefit? And that was it. We just ran with it.
Yeah,
nice touch.
Awesome, man. Yeah, I had one very simple formula. It was if I got a game where Nick Johnson was involved, he was gonna lose no matter what. That was my decision.
And you'll be listening.
No, yeah, I go after Nick a lot, and I have to say, like, he's a very, very good sport about it, and I do enjoy the emails he gets or we get from him, and we love that he cares, and then he takes it all in stride too. Like he doesn't take himself too seriously, which is from someone who we all know is one of the best players in the league. Like it's really cool to see that. So thanks, Nick. Shout out. Ehran, you got to work on that. So yeah, I'm just kidding. All right. So I wanted to kind of gauge from each of you, like what was your G, we'll start with you. What was your favorite article to write, and maybe what was your favorite article that someone else wrote that you read and like either loved or died laughing or whatever it was? What was your favorites, G?
I think everyone's writing was humorous and in different, like different styles. But what I appreciated most is like your writing, Ehran, because you write so well. Like, I'm a huge fan of your writing.
Oh, thank you.
Yes, and I think that's why I give you the most assignment, by the way. But the way that the story flows, the way that you use sometimes I feel like I'm starting for SCT all over again. We're using all these vocabularies that I haven't like really revisited or visited for a while. So I just like the eloquency and the way it just reads so easily compared to my writing. My writing might be creative, but it's in jumbles. That's why I kind of struggle with that. But yeah, personally, any writing that you put together, it's just reads so well. I feel like I'm reading a book, kind of similar to how I never read Harry Potter, but I feel like a lot of kids who read through Harry Potter will probably feel the way I feel about reading your article. I just think it's just really easy to read, really easy to follow, and just fun to read.
Thanks, G. That means a lot, man. I'm glad you appreciate that. How about you, Ryan? What was your favorite article that you wrote personally, or like favorite one that you read from someone else?
So Josh stole my thunder on this, but pun intended there.
Oh, I see what you did there. Okay.
By far, my one was
writer over here.
Back-to-back weeks. The first week I introduced the AMBL arena, and only 3 teams got to play that day. So I'm like, what happens if next week someone gets to have their first opportunity to play, but they can't? And that's when I came up with the wasp infestation, which led to 2 players getting stung and not being able to play. So that was by far the most. Those were back-to-back weeks. I had a lot of fun with my articles. So I just kind of came up with something out of nothing. Mm-hmm. And the favorite ones that I read about, it's actually, I don't know. I was looking at a bunch of our old Wire articles this week because I was trying to find the matchup that I have assigned this week. I was trying to find some stats from the last time they played. And I don't know. We did a lot of really good ones, but I guess my favorite articles we did were the ones we did last week, actually, because I've always loved the before playoffs kind of articles, and I thought, Ehran, you did a lot. You did 2 of those. I thought you did a really good job with bringing the excitement into that. Right? You know, we talked about the scenarios and how if a team loses by 9 or whatever, they're out of the playoffs, or if they win by more than that, then they're in. So I liked those the best because I actually kind of felt the excitement while I was reading it.
I agree.
Nice. Yeah, I have to say my favorite article that I read was that awesome track that Young Jeezy laid down for I forgot which game that was. He went full rap like the entire way, and I believe that track was actually cut. Gee, is that true? I've heard a rumor about this.
Yes.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, great. That was a lot of fun. And I know a lot of other people, we got some great feedback on that from others too. So they really enjoyed it. Josh, what was your favorite to read or write?
So my favorite one to write was actually week 10. And I'm trying to bring this up right now, exactly what I wrote, but it was the one where Tyler effectively wins the game by rediscovering the fact that if you take a 15-foot shot, you have a decent chance of making it. And that was against your Clippers. That's right.
Of course it was.
So,
yeah.
and it just kind of evolved into, because we were, I was watching The Last Dance, and it was that specific episode where they kind of focused on MJ's game and how he evolved, and the rest of the sports writers for the rest of the week started saying, well, this is how MJ would work and facilitate in today's NBA. And it's like, well, he'd bring the mid-range back. And I'm like, okay, well, let's bring the mid-range back to AMBL. And I think I had some like political activist parties like sign off and endorse on it, like falsely, of course. But, I think that was my favorite one to write because it just kind of came up, or it just kind of came together as I was writing. My favorite one to read, can't remember exactly what it was, but it's the one where and I always love it because every time Brendan gets to write about the Rattlers, there's always something that Anay does that is wonderful. So I really enjoyed that. I wish he would have written all of my teams recaps.
Hey, he pesters me to include something about him every week. So
is that right?
Yeah, we could see like live how he pesters. He just comes up, sneaks through the background, and is just there. Yeah, what was your favorite article to read and or write, Brendan?
To write, I don't know. I think my favorite one to write was the one where he gave this, where the Spartans got their first win, where Matt Ong was visited by the ghost of Kobe.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, that was a good one.
I feel like that was my most creative one, my favorite one to write. Other than that, yeah, it's hard to choose a favorite one to write, to read. I mean, you guys all have your own different styles and they're great in their own ways. But I think you touched on it earlier, G. The one that involved the argument between Ehran and Pat was pretty funny. That one was.
I look forward to that next season when it actually happens.
Yeah, I feel like even that's actually affected our relationship, man. Like we haven't even like talked to each other in weeks. I think it's because of this.
Fake news.
Well, thank you guys again for all your contributions this season, and thanks to all the AMBL, our teammates, team members who've showed their support for us, who've reached out, who've given us feedback. It really means a lot to us, like as writers, to hear that our work is like being noticed and appreciated, even at times, surprisingly. But so thanks to everyone for that. And you can look forward, or maybe not, but to us finishing out the playoffs in this manner as well. And G, I think you've got maybe some exciting news that you want to share with everyone for the upcoming weeks here.
We're not too sure if this is going to be an absolute, but we are thinking about hosting the finals game in 2K. We're trying to put together a way that we could either show this through Zoom live or have it pre-recorded and broadcast later. But I think we're trying to create a team through 2K, my GM type of format. We're able to create those 16 from 2 teams that will be competing in the finals and just have them go at it. So it'll be interesting. We're gonna work on it. We got a lot of smart people here, gamers that are experienced with 2K format. So we'll see what happens. But it should be interesting. So you guys can look forward to that.
That sounds awesome, G. Like that's crazy. And again, like I just gotta say, man, I loved being a part of this league. And like, who would have ever thought that it's not? I mean, the basketball itself is great, but then the fact that we do all this stuff, that we have this many like creative people out there, and this many people who care, and like we're all friends and everything. Like come on, man, a 2K simulated championship game. Like who does that? Like that's awesome, G. I hope that comes about, and I look forward to seeing you guys play, hopefully, and maybe even chiming in on some commentary on that. That'll be a lot of fun.
Yeah, that'll be awesome.
All right, so that's it for this episode of AMBL Insider Live. We will be back at an unspecified future date with some more content for you guys. We are out. Ryan, give us one quick head turn. Come on, one time.
No.
On the way out. Oh, and we're out of time.